Thank you for joining me today for this session of Chalk Talk. My name is Brian Conway. I work here at PC Connection in the Networking and Telecommunications Group. And today we're going to be covering why invest in wireless. Some things we're going to cover today are mobility, productivity, new ways of working, and new devices that are accessing the wireless network. So imagine a city at any given time. You have people on the ground, you have people working in buildings, you even have people flying overhead in an airplane. And all these people are trying to access the wireless network. And not only are those people accessing the network, but they're putting a lot more devices on the network. Even devices that normally weren't on the network just a few years ago, like a TV or a tablet, even a digital camera. And you still have your legacy devices that have always been there, like your cell phones have been on the network for a number of years now, notebooks have been on the wireless network for a number of years, printers, and things like hand scanners. So not only are there new devices, not only are there people that are accessing the network more and more frequently, but most of these users have a lot more devices at one given time on the network. Back, just a few years ago, people mainly just had a notebook. But now, not only do they have that notebook, they have their cell phone as well as their tablet. So with the increasing devices accessing the network, it creates a challenge. And that challenge is supporting modern workflow on a non-existent infrastructure or an outdated infrastructure that can't handle all these devices. So just a few years ago, most people had either an A, B, or G standard wireless network. And they had some video, maybe sending a few emails, maybe a little bit of voice over IP wireless traffic, but not a ton. But now, the wireless network looks a lot more like this, with a ton of video. More and more wireless IP phones on the network, large amounts of data, and tons of email. So what's the solution? The solution is to build an efficient wireless network. So where do we start? Well, we got to start by selecting the right access point and the right amount of access points so that you can have coverage throughout your building, whether it's in a conference room or on a sales floor, in a hallway, even a large corridor. All of these places need to have wireless because users expect it. So most of the time when I talk to a customer for the first time that's looking to either upgrade their wireless or deploy a new wireless solution, they say, Brian, I want the access point that goes the farthest, the absolute farthest. And what I explain to them is most access points these days run on a 2.4 gigahertz frequency. And I don't know if everybody remembers or not, but some years ago before cell phones, just about everybody had a cordless phone in their house. And those cordless phones ran on that exact same 2.4 gigahertz frequency. So what do we know about those cordless phones? Well, you can't go down too far with them. Basically, maybe at the far end of your house or 20 feet outside. And it didn't really matter if you spent $20 or $200 on that cordless phone, it wasn't gonna go any farther. The reason for buying the more expensive cordless phone was really for features. Things that that less expensive phone couldn't do. None of it was really involved with range or anything like that. So what do we learn from that? That cost doesn't equal maximum range. The reason why people buy higher end access points is for multiple radios so they can handle more users, or being able to set up a guest network on their wireless network. Even things like bandwidth shaping so they can make sure that not one user is using up all the bandwidth on the wireless network. HP's taken a unique approach. On this slide, it illustrates the type of wireless that some of our competitors or other manufacturers have. And what you'll notice here is there's a large bottleneck right here. And the reason for that is because everything that goes across the wireless network has to pass through the controller. So for example, you have your employee here who wants to print a file, and that file is on his computer and he wants to print it to a printer that's all the way across on the other end of the building, connected to a different wireless access point on a different part of the LAN. So what he does is he hits print. It goes from his computer to the access point that he's connected to the LAN. It then has to flow through all the way to the controller here. And the same way it accesses the controller is the same way it has to go back out. So from here, it flows back to the LAN, back to the other access point, to the printer. Now, not a big deal if it's just him, printing things once in a while. You probably won't see much of a slowdown. But as more and more people jump on the wireless network, every single thing that they do has to pass through that controller, creating a large bottleneck and slowing down your wireless access dramatically. In this slide, this is HP's approach to a decentralized architecture, meaning there is no bottleneck here, because once the policies are pushed out from the controller, that same employee goes to print from his laptop that's connected to the access point. From there, it goes to the LAN, and then it can just pass across to the other side of the LAN, to the access point, to the printer, eliminating the need to go back to the controller for every single task. In this Chalk Talk session today, I've really only scratched the surface when it comes to wireless networking. Most of the time, when I speak to a customer, I recommend they get a wireless site survey. What does that survey entail? On-site radio frequency propagation test, signal strength mapping, detailed reports and recommendations, so that you know when you invest in a new wireless solution that you'll have the adequate range and adequate features for your environment. And all that starts with a phone call to PC Connection. And if you'd like to see more Chalk Talk sessions like this, you can go to pcconnection.com/HPN Chalk Talk. Thank you.